Hey there, StarCraft 2 fans, and welcome back to Game 11 of the Karma Craft Gaming Tournament. This tournament took place back in October of 2010. They do have another tournament coming up very shortly, which is why I wanted to cast these games and bring them out to you so you could see how the players fared. This particular tournament is held somewhat close to my house. I was not able to attend and not able to observe, but I did download the replays off their website, which is going to be listed down in the description bar below. And I wanted to bring these to you guys just because I know that you love StarCraft as much as I do, and I'm sure you would enjoy watching these matchups. So spawning here on Shakura's Temple, we do have Cheeseblock, the pink Terran player, in the lower left corner. And we do have Moonmonk, the purple Zerg player, spawning in the lower right-hand corner. Shakura's Plateau, like I said, does have this very close rush distance if you are able to break down these rocks. This could cause a lot of problems for a Terran player that does like to turtle up at his front. The back could easily be broken down. Zerg player could have a lot of luck on this map. However, I could see it going the other way as well, simply because the Terran player could set up some siege tanks here with some Vikings and do a lot of damage on the Zerg player's main, where all of his tech buildings are going to be located. So we'll see how it plays out. We do see the Zerg player actually checking the cross position first instead of checking the side position, so a little bit unusual there. The Terran player looks like he's actually going to go ahead and scout down here at the lower right expansion, or the lower right base location, and know that that's where the Zerg player is spawning. Terran player choosing to wall in again. We do see the barracks going down. It's about halfway complete as of now. Taking a look over here, we do not see a spawning pool just yet for the Zerg player. Actually do not see any drones being produced either, and there goes his hatchery. So we do have a very fast expansion. 13 expo for the Zerg player. Terran player going to bring his SCV over here and poke away at it, not doing very much damage at all. Looks like this drone's going to come down here. I'm not sure why he's going to choose to chase this off, unless he just wants to ensure that there's no bunker harass that's going to be going on from the Terran player. We do have the spawning pool going down now, about 20% of the way finished so far, and the drone getting a good scout of the Terran player's base. The orbital command nearly halfway finished. The Terran player is going to see that with his Overlord. Going to go ahead and push his Overlord back into the corner so it can't be shot down by any of those silly Mariner guys. This Marine is going to kind of hesitate on what he wants to do, and then he's going to go after the drone. Probably actually be better off going after the Overlord. If he was able to take out the Overlord, then you know you're guaranteed to get the drone. But you know, that's just the way he wanted to do it. And this SCV, he's going to have a little trouble getting back to the minerals the way that he was traveling there, because unfortunately when it finishes on this side of the wall, it goes out. So not a good thing that was added in there by Blizzard with the SCV movement, but that's the way it goes. So we do see the cancel and the rebuild of the extractor there by the Zerg player, so he's going to have a little bit extra time to scout what's going on here. Definitely going to see the what's going on with the gas production timing. So he does see the SCVs now drilling away. That's going to cue him in, and he does need, the Terran player does want that gas a little bit sooner. And the Zerg player is able to successfully cancel and rebuild, so very, very good timing on the Zerg player there not to lose that drone. However, it looks like finally the extractor is going to be destroyed and the gas is going to be constructed by the Terran players. So again, with the reactor, probably going to be looking to do some more Hellions. Cheeseblock seems very set in his ways on doing the early Hellion build versus Zerg, and it is very effective, so can't knock him for that, I suppose. A couple Zerglings pushing out here across the map. They're going to run into that typical Terran wall in. There are no Marines here. The Marines are actually hanging out down here, so they're going to be coming back just in time to check on these Zerglings that are pushing up towards the front. Zergling's going to get a good scout, going to see that reactor factory, going to see the tech lab going down on that barracks, and it's going to know pretty much that he's going the same build that he did last time. With this tech lab going down, he's going to switch it with the starport. Going to go ahead and start pumping out some Banshees with the Hellions that are coming out. Going to go ahead and put on some early harassment. Probably go over here and try and do some harassment on these drones. I would like to see from the Zerg player maybe a couple of spine crawlers, which is exactly, he must have read my mind. There we go. Perfect positioning on those spine crawlers. Going to get several pokes away before those Hellions are able to do any sort of damage. They could sneak around here to the side, but again, they're going to take damage from this spine crawler, which is covering pretty much this whole area. And with this one covering the ramp, he could probably even drop the Queen here and really prevent those Hellions from doing anything very substantial. So we do see the Hellions pushing out. This time he's actually only pushing with 2. Does have an SCV down there capturing the bottom watchtower. With a couple of Zerglings here, he is going to be able to maybe pick those guys off. Those Zerglings, when they're on creep, are quite fast, but if they're off creep, they're going to be a little bit too slow. The speed is now done for the Zerglings, so the Zerglings are going to go ahead and push out. We do have an expansion going down for the Terran player, about 20% complete for that. We do have a couple creep tumors making their way across the map now for the Zerg players, so good creep spread in terms of pushing out there. He doesn't have anything watching his back door, so I find that a little bit unusual. I think an Overlord position here on this high ground or even here would be a very effective way to detect any incoming units, such as this Banshee, which is appearing just on cue. This Banshee is going to be able to kill that Queen 1 versus 1. This Queen's going to take some time to get up here, so that Banshee is going to be able to push in, gets 1 drone kill. Looking at 2 drone kills, let's just keep her highlighted. We can see how many kills she gets. On her 4th kill now, she has definitely already paid for herself with 5 kills, now on 6 kills. This Queen not making any effort to attack, the drone's not making any effort to retreat, going on her 9th kill. Now the Queens are going to move in and do quite a bit of damage to this Banshee. The Banshee, unless she moves away, could get destroyed, but she does go ahead and move away. We do see the layer on the way now, obviously to get out some detection in case that Banshee decides to move back in. However, we do have the medevac here, possibly as a ruse, simply because the Hellions probably are going to come in the front. However, we do have several. I'm not sure what the medevac's doing, just kind of chilling out. We do have some speedlings pushing across the map. Looks like he's going to be, however, shut down by the Marines that are at the front of the base there. This medevac going to be attacked by these Queens, but medevacs are very hardy in terms of the amount of damage that they can take, and those Queens are just not going to be able to kill her before she moves away. We do have just the Banshee and the medevac hanging out here. The Hellions are hanging out here inside the high grass. So the Terran player is able to see every time the Zerg player goes ahead and moves out. He's going to land this command center. The barracks are going to be produced, the bunkers are going to be produced here. However, these Zerglings, if they pushed in right now, could really create a problem for the Terran player, I believe. Simply because the Terran player, and there they go, pushing in, could take out those SCVs, does get 1 SCV kill, does get the 2nd SCV kill, dropping off the Marines. The Marines are going to come and push that back, push those SCVs out of there. With the medevac, it looked like he was going to actually go for a drop there, potentially just put a little bit more pressure, probably pick up these Hellions and maybe just do a drop behind the lines. We do see a Baneling nest now going down for the Zerg player, and we do see a Spire as well. Let's see if the Terran player is going to actually see that. He does not see the Spire, so that was just out of range of that scan. I think he did catch a glimpse of the Baneling nest, but did not see the Spire, so very unfortunate for the Terran player. He's not going to know to produce any turrets just yet. Looks like he is going to go ahead and make a drop, though. The Zerg player does have most of his forces out here toward the middle of the map. These 2 Hellions are going to get caught a little bit out of position unless he guards against it. We do have 1 Banshee pushing across the map this way. Looks like he's going to do some type of 2-pronged attack here. This drop is going to be right in the middle of the line. He's going to drop off his Marines right there, while this Banshee looks like she's going to chase down these Zerglings. However, the Zerglings are taking a lot of damage from these Hellions. Unfortunately, lost a few more Zerglings there than I think he needed to. However, wasn't able to get a surround because he was backed up against the watchtower. This drop down here does get pushed away. Only 2 Marines are able to survive simply because the Speedlings were able to push in there and pretty much take that attack and nullify it. Does have 2 medevacs here with partial health, a couple of Marines inside each, or inside one of them. The Banshee still sitting here with 41 HP, so he does have good vision of the map. He is able to see very well what's going on. Does rally his Banshee up and down just to make sure that there are no Speedlings taking care of the watchtower and watching out for what's going on. However, the Zerg player are going to push across the map with a lot of Banelings. That is 16 Banelings he has, so going to be able to do a lot of damage. The Zergling's going to push up here. Looks like he's just going to go straight in and see what sort of damage he can do. He's going to go into the mineral line, do a lot of damage to those SCVs, does capture 3 or 4 SCVs plus a mule, is able to take those out. And here come the Banelings straight into the bunkers, takes out several Marines. The rest of those Marines go down, and the Thor looks like he could completely get surrounded by these Zerglings here. However, the SCV is getting healed up. Will the Thor be able to get surrounded? Those SCVs just getting in the way so much. The Thor taking quite a lot of damage, but the repair going on. It looks like he's just able to just completely get surrounded by the SCVs. And it looks like most of the SCVs are not even repairing anymore. I think the Terran player actually ran out of minerals there, and because he ran out of minerals, there was no repair able to be done. So the rest of these SCVs going back to work now. The Thor did get down to about 1/4 of his health, and several SCVs were lost. We do have Baneling speed on the way now, as well as 22 more Banelings. We do have level 1 attacks for infantry just finishing for the Terran player, as well as another Hellion now bunkering back up at his main. Several more Banelings just being produced outside here, though. This Thor not repaired yet. He could be in a lot of trouble if those Banelings are to hit that Thor plus the Marines. Several more Zerglings coming into the fray. If we look at the income tab, we do see that the Zerg player just a little bit behind in terms of income, and a little bit behind in terms of harvesters because of that early pressure the Terran put on. However, it doesn't really matter if the Zerg player can win it outright. This Thor looks like he could be taken out. The Banelings moving in here. The Banelings actually taking out the Thor. The rest of these Marines attempting to kite around. Looks like several SCVs getting destroyed there. Oh, what an attack. Very, very effective in terms of destroying a lot of SCVs. The Zerglings are going to push up the ramp here and get inside the main base. Get a little bit of a scout off. Not sure what they're attacking. Looks like a supply depot and a tech lab, but doesn't really matter. They're inside the main, and that's never a good thing for a Terran player. Lost a lot of SCVs there. Look at the harvester count, and we'll see that Terran looks like he must have lost about 8 or so SCVs there in that attack. So very effective attack by the Zerg player, in addition to taking out that Thor, taking out all those SCVs. A look over at the units lost tab, we'll see both players are actually fairly on even footing. The Zerg player is slightly behind, however those Banelings do register on the units lost tab, so it's a little bit skewed in terms of attacking units. Those Banelings being counted as units lost, when in effect they're actually doing the damage that they're intended to do. We do see the Terran player going to move over here with a small fleet of Marines. He does have a few medevacs here to heal, so that's going to be very effective in keeping those units alive. However, the Zerg player does spot this very quickly, is able to move over here with his Speedlings and very quickly shut that attack down. So I'd like to see the Zerg player now transition into some Mutalisks. If we take a look over at the units tab, we do see he does have 4 currently on the field. Looking at the production tab, he does have 4 more, so I think that's going to be a very, very effective play. I think the Terran player maybe has just only now seen the fact that there are Mutalisks on the field. Probably going to be producing some more Thors, actually going to continue producing siege tanks. So he's probably going to want to bunker down and protect his main as much as possible. These barracks not completely full. Probably should go ahead and drop those Marines in there just to give as much firepower out of those bunkers as possible. The second factory not producing anything just yet. Still pumping out SCVs though. However, he could be in a lot of trouble once these Mutalisks push across the map. We do see the Mutalisks here going to catch up with these medevacs, and it looks like he could take out all of these medevacs. This medevac, unfortunately, it had the chance to drop, but it's now out of position, and all of those units just completely getting destroyed. So if we take a look at the units lost tab now, we will notice that the Terran player is very slightly behind. The Thor coming over here does know that the Mutalisks are on the way, and without the magic box trick, I think the Mutalisks are going to have to be pushed away there. Didn't actually lose any mutas, so very effective attack. Also taking out a Banshee. Very, very nice play from the Zerg player. Asserting that map control, moving around, and really gaining control of the situation. Whereas the Terran player had very much control in the beginning with the drops and the map control. But the Zerg player has been able to reclaim that and has really made a name for himself in this particular match. We do see a push forward here from the Zerg player. It looks like he's going to bring all of his Banelings up front. Probably going to try and knock out a lot of these early forces. And the Terran player, unfortunately, with his tanks on siege, now would be the perfect time for the Zerg player to attack. Now would be the perfect time for the Zerg player to attack. The tanks just now getting a position, just now moving forward. Oh, terrible position. The tanks are all going to get destroyed. The Mutalisks pushing in, unfortunately, into the Marines, which is never a good thing. The Zerglings coming in and doing a lot of damage. This Banshee here does get taken out quite easily, and the Mutalisks are going to be able to take out both tanks, all the remaining tanks. The command center here, about half health now. Going to go ahead and morph that into an orbital command. Does look like he's going to go ahead and claim his second expansion. Unfortunately for the Zerg player, all the Banelings were not able to be as effective as they could have been had they hit the Marines. Going straight into those tanks, it just wasn't what he needed to do. We do see all these Marines are at full health. However, this command center, sitting at quite a bit of damage. He is going to go ahead and elect to wall off completely. He is just going to completely wall himself off. He's tired of these relentless attacks. However, the Mutalisks are going to push down here, and with only, he does have a single missile turret, which is going to actually take out one of the Mutalisks. So, unfortunately for the Terran player there, that was not a good thing to happen. Could get a free kill on the tank. It looks like he's just going to push forward and continue the assault on these missile turrets and in the Terran's main base. Does lose another Mutalisk there. One Mutalisk sitting at 25 HP. But continuing the assault, could look to take out a factory here. No pressure from the Zerg on the front, so he's not doing any sort of pincer attack. Just a little bit of harassment to continue letting the Terran know that he is there and he is going to continue doing damage. We do see now the Zerg player sitting on 3 mining bases with a 4th that will soon be mining most likely. So I think that the Zerg player is in a position to do just massive damage this match. We do see the Infestation Pit coming down, so could be looking to get a hive here very soon. The Mutalisk again putting on a lot of pressure. This Tech Lab could be under assault. However, the Marines pushing across, stim used again. That Mutalisk escaping with only 10 HP, so very lucky Mutalisk to make it out of there with those Marines hot on his tail. We do see the Zerglings moving up here, and unfortunately the Terran player has picked a bad time to land his command center. He's forced to lift off. Both of these missile turrets are going to be taken out, these SCVs are going to be taken out, and that's just additional resources that the Terran player did not need to lose at this point in the game. We do see the Banelings pushing forward here just to stop any sort of reinforcements that would come across. However, at this point, I don't know that it matters too much. Unless the Terran player is able to expand again, we can see that he's getting very mined out in his natural expansion. His main base is nearly completely mined out, so he's to the point where unless he can partake in another expansion, he's really going to have a lot of trouble. The Mutalisk pushing forward, doing a lot of damage to this expansion. It is now on fire and burning. The tanks pushing forward, choosing to siege. That is really not a good idea. Tanks taking a lot of damage from the Zerglings. The Banelings blowing up where they should not be blowing up, but all the tanks are done. The Terran wall has just about been breached. The Zerglings pushing forward, all the Mutalisks being taken out, unfortunately. However, this one command center looks like it could fall unless it is repaired. The Zerg player trying to force that barracks to die. He does lose all of his Mutalisks and his entire army, in fact. However, he has several Zerglings here taking down the SCVs. The command center actually is now being repaired. However, this barracks could burn down as well. It's continuing to push Marines out. He does have a couple tanks here on the high ground to help defend. However, the range is just not quite enough to get out to the full length of the ramp. The Zerg player continuing to flood in units. We take a look over at the units lost tab again. We do see that both players on very even footing. However, with the Zerg player on 4 bases, this base still continuing to not mine. I'm not sure if he just doesn't have any drones to rally. He should really be rallying some of these drones up to that top expansion. But for now, he's just waiting on that. We do see the expansion coming back across for the Terran player. It looks like he's going to try and retake this expansion. But these Mutalisks here are just going to completely shut that down. The Zerg player is going to be able to move those over and really start harassing that expansion. And the Terran player's just got to feel like now that there's nothing else he can do. He's in such a tight spot. He does go ahead and scan to see what he can see. Unfortunately, these siege tanks are not sieged, so those Zerglings are going to get in there and really cause a lot of problems with those Marines. And the Terran player is still not able to take that expansion. And the longer he delays, the more trouble he's really going to have. Now, if we take a look over at the income tab, we do see that the Terran's income is suffering quite heavily. This barracks is continuing to burn down. If we look over at the resources tab, we'll see the Terran is very pressed for minerals, sitting on only 85 minerals, whereas the Zerg player is sitting on 800 minerals. The army size also quite a big discrepancy there at 133 over 120. However, the majority of that is actually drones. Excuse me. We do see this top expansion still not mining. However, he is injecting the larva there with the queen he just produced. We do see an engagement here. The Banelings pushing forward, doing a lot of damage to the tanks. The tanks are mostly taken out now. However, the Marines are able to kite quite effectively and get behind the Banelings. And actually, the Terran player is going to be able to push out across the map here. He does scan, knock out a couple creep tumors. He doesn't want those Banelings engaging where there is creep. They will be able to be much more effective that way. We do see a lot of Zerglings rallying down here. We do have a lot of Banelings nearing the end of their production cycle. And once those Banelings are out, he could really do a lot of damage. Looking to get us around here with the Zerglings. Zerglings pushing in, the Banelings pushing forward. And unfortunately, the Banelings just not quite catching up. However, the Banelings trying to get the Marines, but they're not able to explode. They just need to blow up. Oh, they do load up in the Vetevac. Very good play from the Terran player. However, he has lost his Thor. He's lost all of his siege tanks. Basically, he's sitting on 6 Medevacs full of Marines, and the Marines there being taken out. Does waste a lot of Banelings there, which is very effective use of his Banelings. However, these Medevacs, I'm just afraid, are not going to be quite enough. He does have 1 Medevac with 8 Marines and 1 Medevac with 1 Marine. But 9 Marines and 6 Medevacs is not going to be enough to get him back into this game. He is mining very heavily at this second expansion he was able to claim. However, he's going to bring across some Mutalisks, some Zerglings, a lot of Zerglings. Looks like he's going to be able to put a lot of pressure. He is probably in danger of losing this top expansion, however, the Zerg player, because the Marine drop up here. These Marines do have 1 attack, but no armor upgrades, so the Zerglings are going to be able to... actually, the Mutalisks are going to come up here and actually attempt to hold this off. I don't know if that's the best use. However, it does look like the Zerglings were able to come over here and completely clean up this expansion. With all those SCVs down and no more income for the Terran player, we do see that his income is very quickly dropping down to about half of what the Zerg player has, even less now. 2 mineral patches left in his main, so he's really in a lot of trouble in terms of production. The Zerg player actually choosing to retreat now. Probably going to lose this expansion, even if he does get the speedlings over there in time, but realistically not a great loss. He still has this expansion mining quite easily. This expansion's actually completely mined out, so he actually would be well earned to hang on to another expansion, but once these Mutalisks clean up these medevacs, I think the Terran player is going to be in a lot of trouble. The Mutalist pushing forward, able to do a lot of damage, taking out all the medevacs. What a terrible loss for the Terran player. This was really his last chance to stay in this matchup, and I think there, knowing that he has no more attacking units, he's going to be forced to GG out of this game. I can't see how much longer he can continue this. A lot of SCVs moving across here, but they are going to be very quickly intercepted. Actually, the Zerglings are going to go ahead and push into the main here. This one siege tank on the high ground could do a lot of damage, but these other two siege tanks are going to get picked off. This Hellion down here doing a little bit of damage. One siege tank still remaining, actually with 3 HP manages to stay alive, but the rest of these Zerglings pushing up here into the other expansion for the Terran player, and he really has nothing left at this point. Taking a look over at the units tab, we do see that the Terran player is sitting on 4 Marines, 2 tanks, and 1 medevac. His SCV count is dropping so quickly that he is forced to GG out of this game. A very great match between a Terran and a Zerg. I would have liked to have seen the Zerg even tech maybe to a higher tier unit, like Ultralisks or maybe even Broodlords, but when it comes down to it, he was just able to use all of his attacks to great effect. One thing that would have helped would be the adrenal glands for the Zerglings. He was using Zerglings so heavily. I'm surprised he didn't get that upgrade since he did get the Hive. But great play from the Zergling player. He was able to continue just relentless aggression on the Terran, and the Terran was just not able to obtain his next expansion, and was basically just starved for resources. So great play by both players. We'll head on to the next match, which is going to be Game 12 of the series. It'll be Game 3 between these two players, Cheeseblock and Moonmonk. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this cast, I would appreciate if you would subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it.